we're going to talk about mistakes and fuck-ups. And this is one of my favorite quotes. It's from a professor called Ken Robinson. And that he said, if you're not prepared to be wrong, you can never come up with anything original. And with that said, we want to highlight the importance of making mistakes. I'm just thinking about the short little story that I gave in the beginning of like me being so afraid of not speaking correct English, for example, that made me maybe not even go to things or go to events or speak to people that I would otherwise do if I was just more comfortable doing mistakes. And just to give, I mean, I think we're all growing up and knowing, I mean, the whole school system is also, everything is about for you to make the correct, give the correct answer rather than being allowed to make mistakes. And even now, when we are using technology, as I know a lot of you have tried ChatGPT, so I just did a brief question to ChatGPT, what the word mistakes, synonyms for the word mistakes. And these are the ones that came up, like error, blunder, oversight, slip, misjudgment. Yeah, you all see all of these words basically are telling us that you should not make a mistake. It's super dangerous and it's not really related to something good. And I think that's something that we need to change in order for us to be comfortable actually making mistakes. On the other hand, if you look at the same word but ask ChatGPT to tell you about the antonyms, you get accuracy, correctness, perfection, success, achievement, mastery, all of those great words that we all like to hear. But as I said in the beginning, or as Ken Robinson said in the beginning, if you're not prepared to be wrong, you can never come up with anything original. And we all want to do that, right? And that was just an introduction, but we also, me and Thomas, I'm going to give you 2 examples of fuck-ups that we have done. So this is one of the mistakes that I've done, is that a couple of years back, I spent 6 months together with 4 friends or 4 people that I knew, other ladies, that we had this fixed idea that we wanted to create a prototype for a new type of pacifier. And we didn't, none of us had children, and neither of us wanted to give up. And we didn't even discuss the need for it on the market. But we had so much fun doing this. And I think we learned so much. And I even got a friend for life during this period of time. So even though it was a big mistake, it never got anywhere, I still gained something. Thomas, do you want to tell us about your?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, as Madeleine said, I think it's so important that we learn from mistakes. We do that, but we also that we can share, that we want to, that we dare to share the mistakes we've done. When it comes to projects and people's story, it's so much focus of those doing brilliant, super good, fantastic things. That's the type of things you read about in the papers or online or whatever, or LinkedIn is like full of success stories. And those are, of course, nice to hear about and read about. But in actual life, many times you learn so much more from when you make a mistake, at least if you actually learn from that mistake. And that's what you should try to do. Everyone does mistakes. It's nothing strange in that. We all do mistakes. And it's really important, I think, to share those mistakes also, because then maybe someone else can learn from your mistakes, which is really super good. So I've done many mistakes in my life. I've been involved in different types of companies, and since I'm a bit, or I used to be a bit not so careful with details, or rather look at the big picture of things. You can change slide. I think there's a slide. Yeah, exactly. Maybe it doesn't not so important slide, but for me this was important because one of the first companies I was involved in, and we had this project that we wanted to do, but in order to do that, it was a public project, so we needed to hand in a specific request or a tender to get this project. And we wrote a super good one, was saying what we wanted to do, and we felt very confident that we should get this project. But when we were handing it in, you were going to deliver it to this public administration building, and we went there on Friday afternoon to hand in our offer. Then we realized a small detail that we hadn't really bothered about, but it said in the information we had that you need to leave your paper at 3 p.m. the latest. So when we came there by 5 or 4:30, it was too late, and there was no negotiation and no talking them out of that. We were too late. So that little thing, just not reading the paper, maybe thinking that it was in university, where at least when I did it, you could always be late with a couple of hours or days. But here it was for real. If it said 3 p.m., it was 3 p.m. It was not 3:30 or 4 or 4:30. So that actually ruined a big opportunity for us. So after that, I always try to check all the details very carefully. It's a bit boring to do that, but it can be so important to read the fine print also, the small detail. Maybe it's not really detail what time you should hand in your offer, but if you don't think about it, of course, it's easy to miss a time, and it was a bit sloppy of us, and now try not to do those type of mistakes anyway.
Sorry to interrupt. Just one minute.
Yeah.
Warning.
Thank you. I'm done.
So I think that's what we wanted to say. We want to encourage everybody to make mistakes, to sometimes step out of the ordinary box, and yeah, allow yourself to elaborate more.
Thank you. Thank you. And you have a poll, I believe?
Yes, we do.
And here it comes. Would you like to read the questions, Madeleine?
Of course. So question 1, are you allowed to make mistakes at the company you work for? If not, you should. 100% answered yes, are allowed to make mistakes. That's good. Tell us something that you learned by making a mistake. Short answer.
I put check, and check again.
I put look at details.
I wrote clearly communicate, don't assume.
Very nice.
That's
I can
good.
read mine. Read your mails before sending them. Before sending them.
And last but not least, would you say that you support those around you that sometimes make mistakes? Yes and no. That's a good option.
I took an initiative to edit there.
It's a realistic option. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. So I think, Goza, I think it's you next.
I also have a short poll. I would like to have some kind of input from you first before we are going on and we just talking about these stuff. If Melissa, you are just sharing the poll.
Yes, it's coming. Here we are. Do you have the poll?
Yes. First of all, I would just like to know which kind of social networks you use. The second question would be for what you use it. So going to the first question, it's already interesting that the majority of you use WhatsApp and Instagram. They are both the number one. After that, Facebook, then LinkedIn, and then all the other social platforms. When we go to the next question, communicating with friends or probably also family members and so on is the most important thing why we use our social networks, which is also true. And yeah, learning from others as well as the other points are also important. And I think playing games, I think meanwhile, outside of social networks, there are much more options to play games. So that is not a primary thing. But this shows already our attitude, or our how we view social network and how deep it is already in our lives as such. Can you just go to the next slide, Melissa? Thank you for sharing, by the way. When we talk about, I just took the pictures that when we talk about social networks, a lot of people don't, in their mind, WhatsApp is for them not a social network as such, or even YouTube, although it is, because you have those different functions there as well. But this is overall in general social media platforms. I just have a quickly short statistics for you for only this month. It's October 2023. It's 1 month. Which social platform is number one used, and it's Facebook, YouTube, then WhatsApp, Instagram. It's close to what you already signed also for. And when we go to the next slide, the advantages why we use, as you already pointed it out in the poll, is to stay in contact with friends, family members, and so on, to learn and so on. The impact, the advantages of social media in general are very huge. So you also have that meanwhile, social media is a tool that it has a massive impact also on politics. So you should not only see it as what can I do, but how impactful it can be as a source. Also, that's why people are using this also for the work of world, using it for marketing purposes. So a lot of things that you probably see on social networks where you just try to buy it or you get interested in it. And it has also a very big impact on the society itself. It can be an advantage. At the same time, it can be a disadvantage when you're just, and you can go to the next slide, when you're just too dependent on it, and it leads then to cyberbullying, for example, or a fear of missing out information, or where the friends are going or whatever doing, so that you just have this kind of, when you just go through your Instagram and you see everyone is traveling and I'm sitting here working shift after shift, so that you have also this kind of depression afterwards, personal depression, let me say it like this. Or you can also get very, very easily distracted. I think this is a big problem with youth in these times as well. And yeah, privacy is also another big topic when it comes to social media, because everyone is presenting everything meanwhile without even thinking about consequences. If we go to the next slide.
1 minute left.
Yeah, I just have some interesting facts for you just to think how impactful social media is in our lives. So Facebook is the 3rd most visited website after Google and YouTube. We already saw that just in October it was number 1, so it's always shifting, but it's the 1st most visited website. 60 million active business pages. So there's huge out there on Facebook where everyone has their own pages, doing their own marketing stuff and so on. It is also very interesting that only 10% of the Twitter users do all the 92% of tweets that are produced on Twitter in general, or X now. 500 million tweets every day, 2,500 new videos every minute on YouTube. That's a huge load, and you also have to think about every other consequence that comes within, like server load and everything else. And that's why it would be very interesting to hear the presentation after me, which is sustainable IT. And you see over 95 million photos each day on Instagram was this. You see which age is more on YouTube. It's 15 between 35. You see that Gen Z, 25% of them, they are just really having their shopping and the other services they find through stories of Instagram. TikTok user in US is between 10 and 19. This is very, very young. And this is why also the impact of cyberbullying, mobbing, and so on is so high. And also a very interesting fact that Pinterest users are, the majority of them is just female, for example. Yeah. I just chose this presentation just to bring a little bit of awareness of how we use it actively, how it impacts our lives and those around us.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you very much. Gosh, they're amazing.
Interesting
statistics.
figures there, really interesting.
Yes, thank you, Gözde. I stopped sharing to be able to start my poll before the presentation because I
Okay,
want to.
go for it.
So here we are. You have the quiz, the poll on the screen. The first question I would like to ask you: which concepts have you heard before? Green IT or sustainable IT? The ones heard sustainable IT just a few seconds ago from Göz, that doesn't count. So the second question I address you: which step do you think is the most impacting environmental impact we are talking about in a life cycle assessment of a digital product? Okay, I think it is the end of it. Everyone voted. So here are the results. I see that most of you heard sustainable IT, surprising. And green IT, that's nice. And we have a bit minority that never heard of them. And for the second question, you think that number 3, the end of life phase, has the biggest impact on the environment. So I want to start with green IT, explaining what is green IT and sustainable IT. At their core, green IT and sustainable IT are both concerned with reducing the environmental impact of technology. However, they differ in the specific approaches and objectives. So while green IT focuses on reducing the carbon footprint in information technology operations, sustainable IT looks at the overall impact of IT on society and environment. For example, a company might invest in energy-efficient servers and storage devices that consume less power than before. While reducing their carbon footprint, companies can reduce their energy consumption and save on energy bills. So on the screen, on the top of left of the screen, you will see that sometimes this spectrum I will be speaking on behalf of the companies and sometimes for the individuals. I chose this.
Sorry, I interrupt you, but we saw the speaking notes and
okay.
way.
So you also have an idea now that's the next slide. But thank you. I'm gonna share this one. Oh
Yeah.
no, maybe I spoiled you a bit too much. Thank you, Ayşe. So on the left, yes, on the left top corner, you see from which perspective I'm talking. Is it a company level or individual level? In green IT is a concept that we discuss most of the time in the company level. And the reason we chose this team is because our company, My Training Box, is now trying to change all the settings in our video production or any other things that to be more green IT and more sustainable. That we will come later in detail. So there is another effect on the screen. If digital technology were a country, it would have 2 to 3 times the ecological footprint of France, which is a big number. And this is the statistics from 2019. And now we are already 4 years after that statistics. And in the future, every day it's increasing more and more, especially with the new technologies like AI. And probably most of you know about how it's trained and how much energy it consumes. This has consequences on the environmental side, of course. So life cycle assessments of a smartphone or a laptop, I would say like a digital product, we can call it. This is a useful assessment for the companies to see it and see how they can improve their footprint, carbon footprint in the production, in the life cycle of the product at the end. So the answer to that question was actually manufacturing, which is including the raw material extraction, acquisition as well. And then use phase, of course, it concerns us, where we can change our practices as individuals. But manufacturing is so big that you can kind of neglect that use phase. So end of life phase is not that big compared to manufacturing. I mean. Regarding that subject, sustainable IT, we created 2 training courses on the platform which you can have access freely. And this visual is from one of these training courses.
1 minute left, Melissa.
Great, I'm gonna cover it. So I wanted to put some texts on the screen. Please read them for yourself, and then we will fill the blank, because again, it is what requires up to 70 different materials and 50 different materials, including precious metals such as gold or silver. It is making a smartphone. And 3/4 of the environmental impact of smartphones is related to their manufacture. So what we can do as individuals, we can think about our habits and how often we change our digital technological devices. And for smartphone to change or upgrade it, it's 2 years in most of the cases in many countries. So what we suggest, we don't decide very quickly. We really take time to think about if we really need to change it or not. And it is very hard to do that, especially when there are new models from the best-selling brands all around us. Then make it last as long as possible, so we can keep it physically in a good condition, and also software-wise. We can keep it, we can clean it, we can sort things, the applications or the documents or the files, things we keep on our phones, like a spring cleaning. We can keep it longer and better. And at the end, if there is a problem like a broken piece or something, I don't know what can it be right now, but which can look for the options to repair or recycle it. And maybe some of you know and use some phones that are more repairable than the others. And here on the screen, you will see a little numbers at the bottom. These are actually a repairable index that they started in France in 2021, and they're testing to bring it to the European level. Before you buy it, the consumers can be conscious before they buy their product, if it's repairable, if yes, in which level. So maybe you will see that example in other countries, in your countries as well. So the last slide, before my time ends, if we go back to the sustainable IT and the difference of green IT, we can see that sustainable IT has the social side of it as well as green IT. So we are trying to do less harm, but we are also want to be more ethical to society. what it covers in a company level. It's again the GDPR on the digital world, designing applications that are accessible to all people, including with disabilities, but also with people who has not high speed internet connection. So maybe, for example, on our platform, we were always paying attention to that, but this is also a new thing. A video, PDF, podcast, maybe the users are different people. Conditions of digital workers, and promoting the diversity of recruitment and the professional equality in the digital world and digital activities, jobs. That's it. Thank you. I hope it fits.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Can I just add to the recycling repair? I don't know about the countries, but I know the UK, we are really big on repairing and refurbishing and passing on to the people who are in need. So same with the phones and IT. And to be honest, for a few years now, big companies, when they get rid of old laptops or printers, or they go to charities, they're really, we make good use of those things. We try not to fill the landfills and everything. So as far as the IT side of concerns, as a laptop, PC, the desktops, everything, it's definitely passed on, renovate or refurb, and then used again.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, indeed. Okay, so now we have the fourth and the final talk from Joanna, who's going to talk about diversity and inclusion. Over to you.
We as the project partners are also experts, and that's why I have chosen the topic of diversity and inclusion, because, as you know, I'm working for Diversity Hub, and we have also more people here from Diversity Hub, and our main area of work is diversity and inclusion in workplaces, in organizations. Not only we are also active on different projects, but I would like to focus on this core activity of our organization, this which is called diversity, and sometimes diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I will decode this in a few moments. And let's start with this weird slide, because that's an introduction of showing how complicated we are as people, as persons. And when we are thinking, when we are trying to answer to the questions who we are, we can have not only 10 answers, like you can see on this picture, when we can say that to each finger we can answer that, for example, I'm Polish, I'm a student, or I'm a mother, or I'm a middle-aged person, or I'm, for example, a foreigner in a country, or, for example, I'm a part of a minority, or there are different kinds of identities. It may and this answers to the questions who are we and these identities are coming from different sides. Shall I change the slide by myself, or Melissa, you are doing that? Okay, so here is here's what I'm talking about. This is a scam which is called Wheel of Diversity. It comes from a book, Workforce America, Managing Employee Diversity as a Vital Resource. So it addresses a little bit a workplace, but it shows in a quite a clear way how complicated this question may be, and how many areas of diversity we can face. On the let's say, more distant part of the wheel, there are historical experiences. Then we have the organizational level, and of course there are questions of the status, of the position, of the education level, but also of the function. Of the function in a team. This also may be a part of what we are identifying with. Then we have this green wheel, which is called external, and we have here some family status, with some very personal, obvious and visible things like education, interests, maybe a kind of appearance, geographical location. This is what is mostly the area of diversity, and the center thing, which is very personal, internal, like age, race, and gender, which is also visible, but let's say more internal, more unchangeable than the external characteristics. And then we have also the personality in the middle, which is very ours, and we can be extroverts, introverts, and all the things make the beauty of the world, make it diverse, and make so many things interesting for us, because we can see the world from different perspectives. We can go to the next slide, which explains also some terms. And here I've translated from Polish, but I think that we can use it also this way. Which of this? Let's answer this question. Which of this wheels shows inclusion? A, B, or C? You can say. Obviously, it's C, because we are not talking only about integrating some people that may be a minority, but also about the exchange, about taking the advantage of mutual communication, mutual cooperation, by making it more colorful, as you can see on this picture. We can go to the next slide. And this magical E in this abbreviation DEI, because sometimes we are saying diversity and inclusion, sometimes we are saying diversity, equity and inclusion. And on this picture, you can see very clearly what is equity about. It's not about having the same, it's about the possibility to achieve the same. So this is the third, like we can say, ingredient of these policies that help to take advantage of the diversity of people, of everything. We can go to the next. And I've asked the questions. No, I haven't asked it yet. But what about companies? Why they need it, or why we are working on it with them? Here are some data, some example data, because I think that we can find even more. And we can see that when we are working in the diverse team, obviously we are having more perspectives, which may lead to out of the box thinking. We can increase our innovation and creativity, but taking this more perspective into account, and we can learn to be more flexible, to be more open to differences. Let's go.
1 minute left. Okay,
so we are here at the last slide, and it's sometimes not very easy, and sometimes we need to work on it, and that's why we are working on it with organizations, with groups, and how we can characterize the inclusive attitude that may lead to this good results for a team. And here is the list. Maybe I will not read all of these characteristics, but maybe some. Seeking out and listening to others' perspective, trying to adapt to different communication styles, to different thinking styles, being curious, being open, trying to find some common ground, helping others to feel included, and appreciating when someone has different approach, and trying to work with people from different backgrounds, different perspectives, different approaches. And I think that it's something that also, coming back to our project, makes the moments when we are beginning our working life in a foreign country, for all these people that took part in the DICA project, more obviously inclusive, but also more friendly. So that's
Lovely.
from my side.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So that was 4 very different presentations, very different subjects. So we heard about how we can all make mistakes and we learn from them. And actually, it's all about the details and checking details. We heard about the power of Facebook and other social media. We heard about the impact of the manufacture of smartphones. And lastly, how more diverse teams can increase creativity. So that's 4 very, very different subjects. So thank you very much.